Alright, so we're going to review of the Dunu Audio Davinci. This is a 4BA2 dynamic set by Dunu. This is retails for around $300. It is a collaboration with GizAudio. And yeah, let's get into this box. First of all, I really like this design of this box. It's very unique. You don't see something that looks like this very often. I like it. It's very nice packaging. Taking this off here. Come on, get off there. Come on, it's really, there we go. Throw that to the side. Shake that off. Take it off. Alright, so let's take these IMs out. Remove the foam here. Take the case out. Got some paperwork you don't care about, and we can get into the case here where all the stuff you do care about is in. Alright. We have the cable. We'll talk about that in a second. If I seem like I'm in a rush, it's because my AC is broken and I am currently dying in the heat. It is like over 80 degrees in this room. There's a cleaning tool and a quarter-inch plug adapter, quarter-inch adapter. All right, and then in the case, I don't want to take these out. These are the 3 sets of tips. I took one of each out. I'll show those in a second, but the bags were hard to rip open, and I don't want to mess with that again. So. And then you have a connector for the modular cable system, which we'll talk about in a second. This seems to be the new Dunu modular cable system instead of their Q-lock that they had for a lot of their other sets. Also, I do want to say quickly for the case, it is a very good thickness, but it is just way too long and way too wide. This thing is not really reasonably sized for a pocket. Like, it'll fit in your pocket, but it will take up your entire pocket. It's a bit too big for me. But I mean, it's a fine case, not a terrible case at all. Alright, on to the cable. I really like this cable. I think that this cable is on the better end for $300 sets. Maybe, this is a cable you'd see in a $500 set, to be honest. It's a really nice, it's a bit thick, but like in a good way of this cable. It stays straight, and overall it seems very high quality. Connectors are nice. And of course, it is modular. So their new modular system, different than the Q-lock, which I have here on the SA6 mk2. In the Q-lock, it is like a bit thinner, and you would pull down here, and you can change it like that, and you would match these up here. So it's hard to do on camera. There we go. And yeah, I really like the original Q-lock system, but they were forced to do right angle due to I think it was copyright or something like that. But in this system, this seems also cheaper to manufacture, so it can be with cheaper IMs. It is able to be straight, and also you would just pretty much unscrew this, and you could take this off, and you would be able to plug it back in. It's hard to do this on camera because I'm looking through my camera to do this. And then you would screw this back on, and you could change the connector with any other connector that they give you. This one comes with 3.5 and 4.4. It does not come with a 2.5 if you're one of the 5 people that still use that. But I think that there are some IEMs that they sell that do come with that, or other cables. So this seems to be like their new system. I don't know if they're getting rid of Q-lock or this is for their more budget options. But yeah, I think it is also a very nice system. But it's better for people who want to keep one connector and stick with that one. I think if you're switching connectors a lot, which I don't know why you're doing that, but if you are, I think the Q-lock is nicer. Okay, that's enough about the cable. It's an excellent cable. Nothing else really to say there. Alright, so let's talk about build, comfort, look. So first of all, you do have a wooden faceplate here on a resin body with a metal nozzle. Overall, I think they look really nice and they're well built. They also do have a very recessed 2-pin connector. Dunu does seem to like to do this on some of their IEMs, so some people don't like this because third-party cables might not be able to plug in. Some people really like it because it does provide a very safe connection that won't disconnect. And also I want to mention that this is a 2-dynamic set, as I said at the beginning of the video, but it's actually not isobaric. A lot of IEMs that say 2-dynamic drivers and with other things, it is usually isobaric design where the dynamic drivers are facing each other and pushing and pulling on each other. This one actually has 2 dynamic drivers of different sizes in different locations. I think one is probably for mid bass, one is probably for sub bass, but that's just a guess on my end. And if you look through a light here, I don't know if you can see that on camera, you can actually see both of the dynamics. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, in terms of comfort, I don't think these are the most comfortable set, but they're also not necessarily uncomfortable. But as you can see, this isn't exactly like the most ergonomically shaped. It is a little bit kind of awkwardly shaped. They're very like they're not very contoured. Like if we look at the SA6 Mark II here, you can see that the SA6 Mark II is very contoured to the ear, while this is just, ignore my cat in the background. This is very contoured to the ear, while this one not so much. They are also very similar in size, but the SA6 Mark II is a little bit bigger. Alright, now let's talk about the tips that come with the set. So we do have I believe these are called the S-lastic tips. They also give you a set of candy tips, and then whatever these tips are, I don't think these have a name. So, I did try all of these tips, and I did not like, I'm going to call these the elastic tips. I don't know what they're actually called, to be honest, but, I mean, I'm just going to call them elastic tips for the rest of the review, but I didn't like how they sounded anyway. I think that they had a little bit too much bass. I think they kind of messed up the sound. If my camera would like to focus, that would be awesome. Thank you. I think that they kind of messed up the signature. I didn't like the way they sounded on these tips, so I didn't use them. Come on, camera, please focus. Thank you. Okay, so then that left me with the candy tips and these, and of course, what I love to use the most, CP100 spin fits. These tips, they sounded fine. I like the way they sound on these. They sounded the same as they did with the candy tips, actually, but these were not very comfortable for me, so I didn't use them. So, remove that. And I think candy tips, to be completely honest, are just worse spin fits. I mean, like, they really close type of tips, but I think the material on spin fits is softer, better for, like, feels more comfortable in my ear. And I think the spin fits had a little bit less bass, so I preferred it with the spin fits. So I did not use the candy tips as much. Okay, so the majority of my review is going to be with spin fits, but if you do want to know exactly how it sounds with the candy tips and with these tips, these two practically sound the same. It's just a little bit more bass than this, but very, very slightly. It's not a big change. So yeah, just take that as note if you would like. Now, with the rest of the review will be sound quality with CP100 spin fits. Alright, so let's go bass, mids, highs here. First of all, the bass. Of course, the star of the show is, a lot of you probably already know. This is a more bass-heavy set. And honestly, you could even say a bass head set. But you don't have to be a bass head to enjoy this, because this is not bass overwhelming. Every once in a while, in a few tracks, there could be a bit too much bass, but most of the time I think it's a really fun amount of bass that isn't overpowering the mid-range and the treble. And it is also very great quality bass. This is fantastic quality for the price. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna say it right now before I even get to the rest of the sound signature. This is probably my favorite set, not just under $300, my favorite set under $500. I think this even competes. This is going to bother a lot of people that I say this probably. I think this competes with the Mega 5 EST, in my book, in sound quality. Not in maybe detail or technicalities, but enjoyability for me. I actually like this as much as I like that set, and I love the Mega 5 EST. Anyway, back to what I was talking about with the bass. This bass, it's large, it's grand, it's heavy, it hits hard, but it has great detail, great texture, and it is very well controlled and complementary to the set. It's overall very impressively done. Now let's go to the mid-range. The mid-range is a little bit pushed back, but not too much at all. Like, it's pushed back to me because I love forward mid-range, but honestly, it's probably, like, for most people, relatively normal in the track. Just, it's probably, like, here from how far you are, like a vocalist. It's not too forward, not too far back for most people. For me, I would have liked it a little bit more forward, but it's honestly still excellent, and it's smooth and silky and has good detail. I won't say these are a detail monster because they're not. This isn't like the best detail you're gonna get under 500, but I think this is actually one of the better detail you can get under 300. I think actually maybe, yeah, it's probably one of the better ones. Maybe not the best, but it's very good detail for $300. Honestly, The mid-range is very smooth, and this is a warm set overall, and it's very musical and comfortable to listen to. This isn't something that you are going to use to analyze the music, or to or like for, wouldn't recommend these for gaming or movies maybe, but not for gaming or for anything that you want to, like, analyze something. This is, I think, really great for more music enjoyability, and honestly, it does it very well. Especially the mid-range is just smooth, and the bass hits hard, but the bass does not leak into the mids. Now, I will say, these do male vocals better than they do upper-pitched female vocals. I say lower-pitched female vocals, they do fantastically as well, and just as well as they do male vocals. But once you go to, like, female vocalists that have a bit of a higher pitched voice, it starts to become a little bit more recessed than I would like. I think it could use a bit more energy in the upper mids. But I still think it's fantastic mid-range for this price. Absolutely stellar. Especially for a set that I would say is more bass focused. The mid-range does not fall behind because of the bass. Now on to the treble. The treble is also very good, actually. I think it is a good detailed treble. It's not a treble head set by any means at all, not even close. If anything, the treble's pretty rolled off. But for me, I like rolled off treble. But if you want the most treble, extended, high treble detail, this is not for you, really, to be honest. This has a great treble. A treble that matches up with the quality of the mid-range. And it's overall very well done in the track. It doesn't get drowned out by the bass at all. But it is still a rolled off treble. This is a warm set, a relaxing set. It's relaxing and bassy. It's not very energetic and in your face. And the treble overall, it is a great quality. It is great. It has good detail for the price. Very good detail for the price. But it's not something mind-blowing. And it's definitely not why you should get this set. This set is for someone who wants to focus on the bass. Also the mid-range, though, pretty excellent as well. Now let's talk about imaging and stage. The imaging wise, that's where these start to fall behind from the higher end sets. For this price, the imaging is pretty standard, maybe even above standard, for $300. But if we're comparing this to a $500 set, or something higher end, the imaging is a little bit lackluster. It's still good, but I wouldn't use these for exact pinpoint placement. And the separation is also a bit iffy. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but I think separation is where this set is at its worst. This really is a more musical set, not something that you want to use to say, okay, I can hear the perfect amount of distance between these two instruments and all that stuff, or I hear footsteps over here and over here. It's okay imaging, but definitely nothing shocking or amazing. It's just okay imaging. Staging is, I'd say, average at the price. Not impressive, but not bad. It's nothing that you're just like, it's not, but it's not wow. It's just okay. I mean, your head's here. I mean, it's gonna go over here maybe. I mean, it's still not like super in your head. It's soundstage, but it's not a wide stage at all. Now I'm gonna bring in some IEMs to compare. The SA6 Mark II was not here just because I wanted to show the comfort and the connector. This competes with the Mark II for me. And also I have the Hodur, which was my previous favorite set of IEMs under 300. And it still has a reason to be in your top choices, I think, if you're looking for a set under 300. Because this and this are opposites, honestly. We're going to talk about that in a second. But first I want to talk about the SA6 Mark II. Because this is kind of shocking to me. When I first got this set, started listening, and over time, I really realized, oh my god, I like this set a lot. Am I going crazy? I have to listen to something more expensive to make sure I'm not just forgetting how good things can be. I listen to this set, I'm like, I think I like this set more. Now, there is things that the SA6 Mark II excels at and does better than the Davinci. But I personally, in terms of enjoyment, prefer the Davinci. Now, for the bass, the Davinci has more bass than the SA6 Mark II, even with the bass switch on. But, like I said in my review of this, I believe, that with the switch on, it's just reaching the point where it will almost be too much. And so it would make sense that you would think, oh, so this has more bass, it's too much. But the way the signature is on this set, the heavy bass, it just more complementary to its overall signature than the SA6 Mark II would be if it had this much bass, in my opinion. Bass quality wise, the quality of the bass is slightly edged out to the Davinci. The Davinci's a little bit better in terms of quality. It has a little bit more texture and dynamics and punch in the bass than these. I'd say texture is really close, but really that slam, that hit is better on the Davinci. Now, in terms of mid-range, I'd say it's pretty even here, but where the Davinci really makes me like it more than the SA6 Mark II is in terms of thickness, richness. When I went from the Davinci to the SA6 Mark II, the SA6 Mark II started to sound a little bit thin. I don't know. It's just when you're wanting a warm set, like that's why I like the Mark II. I like the Mark II because it was like it's a warm set of IEM. So when I want a warm set, I reach for the Mark II. And so with the Davinci, it just does warm set better than this does warm set, in my opinion. This is richer, thicker, smoother, more musical sounding to me than the SA6 Mark II. But that does come with a trade-off. The SA6 Mark II, I will say the technicalities are quite a bit better than these are. You're going to get better detail in the SA6 Mark II. No doubt about it. You're going to get better imaging by a long shot on the SA6 Mark II. Much better imaging. You're also going to get wider stage on the Mark II. So in terms of technicalities, the Mark II is going to win. The Mark II is also 2 times the price. So let's not forget that. But in terms of musical enjoyment for me, I think I really do just like the Davinci more for me in terms of enjoyment. But there's definitely things that the Mark II does better. It's not like there's no reason to buy the Mark II at all, but I do think Dunu kind of shot themselves in the foot with the pricing on these. Because these are way too cheap for what they are. Like the price is way too low. Because I honestly could say that these could have been the same price. I would still say these are worth it. I really like this set. And to the point where when I got to a certain point while I was testing these to review, I decided I'm selling these. I'm reviewing these today because I'm shipping these out tomorrow and I wanted this in the video. So that's how much I like the Davinci. That when I got it and after a bit of testing, I decided to sell my Mark II. Not to say that the Mark II is strictly worse than this. Not the case. Better technicalities on the Mark II. Better stage on the Mark II. Better imaging on the Mark II. The Mark II does a lot of things better. But the Davinci does warm set better than the SA6 Mark II can do warm sounding set. If that makes any sense. If I want to relax with a bass heavy listen, with a warm set, I'm going to reach for the Davinci overreaching for the SA6 Mark II. Especially because when I'm reaching for a warm set, I'm not looking to analyze details. But I do think the SA6 Mark II definitely has like a space where people would want to get it. I can definitely see why you would get the Mark II over getting these. But also keep in mind this price difference is ridiculous. This is almost half the cost of this. So yeah. That's it for the Mark II. I don't even need to really talk about that anymore. I'm going to talk about the Hudur now. The people who would want to get the Hudur. Because I love the Hudur. I think the Hudur is an excellent set for $300. It really outcompetes a lot of other stuff in the $300 price bracket. I think I just said 200. I mean 300. And so, first of all, right off the bat, the Hudur is a brighter set of IEMs. This is a bright set. A bright set. And this is a warm set. That's the first huge difference for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want a warm set. A lot of people don't want a bright set. You want a warm set, Davinci. You want a bright set, Hudur. That's my answer when it comes to $300 price bracket. The treble quality. Well, let's go bass mid highs actually first. Bass, you know the Davinci's gonna win. It's true. But the Hudur still has fantastic bass for $300. It's still very good quality, very good texture, good punch. But this really does better though by quite a lot in terms of punch, texture. It just slam. It's just this. The Davinci does better in terms of bass, but that was expected. That's the focus of the set. Now let's talk about mid range though. Mid range is kind of a toss up between the two. I will say I prefer the mid range ever so slightly on the Davinci because the Davinci has a smoothness to the vocals, smoothness to just also instruments, natural sounding instruments, and strings, piano. I really like how it sounds on the Davinci. This sounds a little bit more analytical, but it is more detailed, I'd say, in the mid range. And the vocals are more forward on the Hodur than they are on the Davinci. So if you're someone who wants more forward vocals in a brighter set, again, mid-range is still fantastic on the Hodur. Now treble. This is where the Hodur beats out the Davinci, and it makes sense. This has an ESC driver inside. But it really, the Davinci, the Hodur has fantastic treble that it extends just to the right amount where it's not going to become fatiguing, yet it has great extension, great detail. The treble on the Hodur destroys the treble on the Davinci. But if you're buying a Davinci, you're not buying it for the treble. So it's not really a fair thing to say. So if you want a brighter set with good treble, and honestly the mid-range is so close in quality on these two that I'd say the mid-range is not what you should be choosing this based on. It should be based on probably, if you're talking about signature here, better bass or better treble. But there is something else that the Hodur does better than the Davinci, and it is soundstage and imaging. As I said, that was the weak point of the Davinci, and it is actually a very big strength in the Hodur. I think the Hodur has some of the best soundstage I've heard in IM, period. Not just for the price, period. It is excellent soundstage. It's not the soundstage of like the Phantom, or like it's not the best soundstage I've heard, but it's very high up there. Excellent soundstage on the Hodur that wipes the floor with the Davinci soundstage. And also imaging wise, these have much better imaging and separation than the Davinci. Technicalities wise, I'll say the Hodur wins it out, other than the bass texture and the bass technicalities. But the Hodur is better in terms of detail, soundstage, and imaging. But musicality wise, bass quality wise, I think just also this vocal smoothness, timbre. These have better timbre than the Hodur. I think the Davinci wins it out. And if I were to choose one of these two sets, and I can only choose one, I will probably choose the Davinci. I think really the Davinci is an excellent value, an excellent set for the price. Honestly, an excellent set in general. I love this set of IEMs, and I use it just because I want to, not for testing, for best thing under 300, best thing under 500, whatever. I use it because I love this set. This is a fun set to listen to. It's great quality bass. It's not fatiguing. It's got a warm, smooth, musical sound. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much everything I have to say about this. And yeah, thank you. See ya.